Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with you all today. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about my knitting process of knitting the Life's a Beach crop top by Chantel of Knititude, and I'm wearing it today. And also a little bit later, we're going to talk about your favorite knitwear designers as well as mine. Okay, so this pattern is a paid for pattern. And you will need between 250 to 475 yards of yarn for this. Of course, it depends on which size you make. And in meters, that is 229 to 434 meters. And so this is knitted with worsted weight yarn, which I love. You all know that's my favorite. And the sizes for this, it comes in 4 sizes. And so the bust circumference ranges from a 32 to 46 inch, which is an 81 to 117 centimeters. Now I know that's not super size inclusive. In fact, I knitted the XL, which is the largest size. Here's the thing. I am giving the designer some grace here because this was one of her first patterns. So she released this pattern in 2018, which was 5 years ago. And so what I've noticed is that her patterns starting 2019, they all go up to like 60 inch, 3XL, 5XL, they go up to larger sizes. And so I'm going to give the designer grace because those are very old patterns. And so if you go back to like her 2017 and 2018 patterns, just kind of keep that in mind that some of them only go up to an XL. And she didn't release many at that time, but just something to keep in mind. I'm not going to be a stickler on that. If you are interested in more like size inclusive patterns, definitely check out my Ravelry bundle that I made for tanks and tops that go up to 5XL. But I knitted the size XL and I have a 44 inch bust. And so yeah, I'm just gonna give her grace on that. So, you know, definitely check out her patterns though. So yeah, so that is by Chantel. And those are the pattern sizes. So I will leave links to all of this in the description box below. Now, I knitted this using a US 10 knitting needle, which is a 6.0 millimeter. And the yarn that I use is Malabrigo Rios yarn. And I had 2 skeins of this, which I love it. And the colorway is Dunis. And each skein has 210 yards, which is 192 meters, 100 grams. And so it is 100% superwash merino wool. I love it. It's so soft. It's so squishy. It feels great next to my skin. And so as I mentioned, I used 2 skeins of yarn. I had 2 skeins of yarn. And going into this pattern, knowing that it only went up to a size XL, knowing that I only had 2 skeins of yarn, I was like, hey, whatever happens with this happens. If it fits, great. If it don't, that's fine. I'll rip it out. I knew going into this that either I'm going to run out of yarn or it may not fit. And so I had originally wanted to make a Sophie shawl. In fact, I had started making a Sophie shawl with this yarn. And then I was like, you know what? I've already made a Sophie shawl. Let me make something else. And so I saw this pattern and I went for it. Well, the good thing is it fits. The bad thing is I ran out of yarn on the last row. I ran out of yarn. Right here at the seaming, y'all, right there at the very end. And so what I did was I found some scrap yarn that I had that was like, you know, close to the same weight, and I just finished it. And I really like it because it looks like an intentional stripe, and so I really like how that turned out. I think it's really cool. And I was a rebel. And I did not swatch, okay? I feel like I was a bad kid doing something that I wasn't supposed to. But I did not swatch. Like I said, this pattern, it was kind of like if it fit, it fit. If it didn't, it didn't, because, you know, it only went up to a size XL. So I was like, if that don't work, then it's just not going to work out. And yeah, so it did work out. But yeah, I did not gauge swatch, y'all, and it was fine. Now, what I love about this pattern is that I learned a new knitting technique. And as you can see here, it has the stripe that's a different color. And I got that stripe when I was doing the 3-needle bind off. So I did the 3-needle bind off, and it's amazing. I really like it. I was intimidated by the 3-needle bind off at first, but y'all, it's amazing. I'm so happy with it, and I'm trying my best not to get so intimidated with knitting techniques. So I just watched a couple of YouTube videos. I figured it out, and yes, it is wonderful. So I did wet block this pattern. I wet blocked it, and then I laid it out to dry on my mat. I didn't pin it. I just kind of laid it out, and it was really weird looking. It kind of looked like a square. And another thing is, pre-blocking, it was curling a little bit on the neckline, but after blocking, the curling is completely gone. And like, I didn't even pin it or anything. It's just completely gone, and it lays flat in the front and the back, and yeah, worked out really well. So I'm very happy about that. All right, so let's talk about the designer. So as I mentioned, it is designed by Chantel or Chantal. I'm probably getting that wrong, of Knititude. And she has an Instagram, she has a Ravelry, she has her own website, and I'll leave the link to all of that stuff below. And she has a lot of amazing patterns on her Ravelry page. And as I mentioned before, if you go back to her very, very first patterns, like 2017, 2018, be aware some of those only go up to like an XL, but everything past 2019, from what I saw, has a wider ranges of sizes. And so, you know, yeah, just check her Ravelry out, and I'll leave a link for that. And so, yeah, I think that she has a lot of amazing patterns. I actually have plans to knit her Top Gun bomber. I've already bought the pattern. I'm still trying to decide on what kind of yarn I want to use. But I have also crocheted one of her patterns as well. It was the Pin Me Up headband. I loved it, and I crocheted that. So she has wonderful crochet and knitting patterns. So love that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about my thoughts on this pattern. Okay, so I love the fit. However, if I was, and I will knit this again, I already have the yarn for it. When I knit this again, I am going to go up a knitting needle size. It's already cropped, which I do like it because I have such a short torso that even if something is meant to be cropped, it still looks full length on me. And so I want to go up a needle size, only because I've been wearing this t-shirt or this tank top a lot, and I've noticed a couple of things. So the first thing I noticed is right here at the shoulder, the yarn is stretching a little bit, and I don't know if that's because I didn't do my 3-needle bind off tight enough, or maybe my last row was too loose. I don't know, but I am noticing that. And also I'm noticing that under the arms, around the bust, the yarn is stretching a little bit. And you can't notice it just looking from the front, but it was something I noticed when I took my shirt off and I put it on the mannequin. I kind of noticed that the yarn wasn't quite like bouncing back. And that may just have something to do with the memory of the yarn and that it's superwash or whatever. Either way, they can be fixed very easily. I have like a tiny little strand or a little string of leftover yarn, and I think I can, you know, remedy that pretty easily. Maybe whip stitch, or maybe I'll leave it alone. I don't know. But that is something that, you know, I might do. And it's just something that I've noticed. And it wasn't, you know, something that I was going to notice unless I wore it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to wear it, see if it stretches out anymore. If not, I'll probably just leave it. Okay, let's talk about some knitwear designers. Okay, so about 2 months ago, I posted on my YouTube community tab and I asked you all what or who are your favorite knitting designers, and I just love y'all's responses. I got a lot of great ones. Some I'd heard of, some I had not. And also I'm going to talk about my favorite knitwear designers right now. And so I did take you all's questions off of my YouTube community tab and just kind of made a list. And so you all said that your favorite knitwear designers are Jessie Maid, Knititude, Mayu KP, that's Meiju KP, I may be saying that wrong, Tin Can Knits, Pearl Soho, Isabel Kramer, Melody Berg, and Rosie Greer. And I'll dive a little bit more into them in just a bit. So my favorite knitwear designers right now, I have a few. One is Ashley Lelis. I have test knit so many of her patterns, and you all have seen a lot of them on here on the channel, and I just love working with her, and her test knitting experience is so great, and hopefully I'll get to test even more for her because I just think she's amazing and just wonderful to work with. She answers your questions. She just makes the test knitting process like super fun, super easy. And I also have to give a special mention to my friend Vanessa of Vanessa Smith Designs. Her patterns are just so wonderful and intricate and beautiful and texturized. And typically I'm not like of someone that likes a lot of heavily textured patterns, but Vanessa just gets it, and her patterns are amazing. In fact, I was test knitting her Nadia hat, and I was a bad test knitter because I did not finish. I feel so bad. That is still haunting me, and I will finish that hat, and I will share it with you all when I'm done with it. Yeah, so definitely check out Vanessa's Ravelry, and I'll leave a link. Yeah, I'll go ahead and leave a link to everybody's Ravelry page below, or their website, whichever one. I'll go ahead and leave those links below. Also, I have to mention Petite Knit, and I would say she's one of my favorite designers. It's, you know what, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because I have fit issues with some of her patterns. Like, I love her accessories. Sophie scarf, Sophie shawl. I knitted a million of those. Now, I did make her novice cardigan chunky, and it was way too big because a lot of her patterns just have a ton of ease in them, and I don't really like all that ease. And so I have decided to give Petite Knit Garments another chance, and I'm currently knitting the Anchor Summer Shirt. And when I finish that, I will make like a whole video talking about my experience. And so as of right now, Petite Knit will stay as one of my favorite knitwear designers. But y'all, look, if this Anchor Summer Shirt does not fit, I'm sorry. It's just, you know what? I tried, and I'm just going to have to move on. So I'm really, really hoping that this shirt works out. All right. So let's get on to some of the ones that you all mentioned. We have Knititude, and of course, obviously, I'm a fan of Knititude. Not only is this shirt one of her designs, but also I have crocheted her Forget Me Not headband, which I love, and I have plans to knit the Top Gun bomber cardigan by her as well. And I do have the yarn for it, but I'm still kind of trying to decide what I want to do. But Chantel has amazing patterns. Definitely go check her out on Instagram and Ravelry. Okay, so I have bought patterns from Jessie Made. However, I have not knitted any of them yet. And I think it's because I was intimidated by the pattern that I got. And that was the winter crop. I guess you could say it's a sweater. But anyway, the winter crop pattern, it was like... It's like 12, 14 pages long, and I just got so intimidated by it. And I'm going to do better moving forward about not letting knitting projects intimidate me. I am going to make that pattern because it is beautiful and I think it would really fit well. Okay, so next we have Meiju KP. So I had not heard of her designs before, so I went and I searched on Ravelry, and her designs are stunning, okay? Beautiful patterns. Definitely go check it out. And you know, maybe one day I might make something of hers. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so up next we have Rosie Greer. And when I heard this name, I was like, man, that sounds familiar. So I went on Google and I checked it out, and instantly I was like, oh my goodness, that is the NFL player that started crocheting and knitting and doing needlepoint and all that stuff. I know that guy, and I just thought that was so cool. And so he actually has a book that he came out with, like, I think it was like the 70s or 80s, and it's called Needlepoint for Men. And so that's really cool. I'm not sure if it's still in print or not, but I think it would be really neat to check that out and just, you know, just kind of see like the type of designs and patterns and things that he came up with. Okay, so Tin Can Knits and Pearl Soho. Yo, I have so many of their patterns in my queue. I want to make all of them. So Pearl Soho, I have knitted the classic rib hat by Pearl Soho, and I have a ton of Pearl Soho patterns in my queue that I want to make. I just love their patterns. I love the simplicity of the design, and I think like their aesthetic, I really vibe with their aesthetic when it comes to patterns. And Tin Can Knits, I have knitted their simple yet effective cowl. Love it. They have a lot of amazing patterns as well. And I would say that both Pearl Soho and Tin Can Knits has amazing patterns for beginners, or maybe those advanced knitters that just want something that's a little bit more simple but still requires you to think a little bit. And so yeah, definitely, if you haven't already, definitely check those two designers out. Okay, so I've heard a lot about Isabel Kramer and Melanie Berg in other knitting YouTube channels. Those designers seem to be very popular with other knitters, and they have very intricate designs, cables, lace work, all that kind of cool stuff. So if you are into those intricate designs, definitely check out those too. All right, y'all. So who are your favorite knitwear designers? Let me know. Were they listed today? And if they won't list it today, let me know. Who do you all love as knitwear designers? And I'm always open to finding out more knitwear designers that I haven't heard of. That'll just give me another excuse to follow somebody on Instagram. All right, so I have links in the description box for everything that I talked about today, my favorite knitting tools, all that good stuff. And also check out my YouTube community tab. I love reading you all's comments. Y'all are amazing. And I will leave my Ko-Fi link in the description box below, and let me know what you worked on while watching. Did you fold laundry? Which I need to do, by the way. Let me know what you worked on, if you knitted, crocheted, whatever crafts you did. Let me know what you did while watching. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you want to continue watching, you can simply click on one of the video clips on the end screen. So, until next time, bye!